to give you an overview of what we're doing this week. The key word here is profiteering, and I wanted to just share with you. I'll give you the link just to good old Wikipedia, which is always, not always, but oftentimes a great place to start. And when we're talking on a basic term, what is profiteering? Fine, I think definition here. It's a pejorative term. That is, it's critical of the practice. Something is pejorative. It means to be critical of something. Pejorative term for the act of making a profit by methods considered unethical. In some of the one of the examples there is raising prices during an emergency, price fixing, that is colluding with other members of a certain category to not compete with each other and set prices, agreed upon prices, which are clearly unethical. Or maybe not so clearly unethical. That's the thing. I mean, one of the things I want to explore, the basic underlying issue I want to explore, is whether any business really has a duty, any sort of moral duty to its customers. Meaning, should a, let's just say, as we'll be exploring this week, that a company can raise prices, not because of inflation, but basically taking advantage of inflation by raising prices even more to increase its profits. Is that unethical? That is, I mean, is it ethical for a company to raise prices just to increase its profits, not to maintain its profits, but to increase it? Or, shrinkflation, another thing we'll be looking at when a company doesn't raise prices but reduces the amount in a package. So effectively is raising prices in a kind of a sneaky way. Whether that's unethical at all, that's what I'd like to explore, because the basic issue philosophically is whether a corporation owes anything to its customers. I mean, if we look back at the Milton Friedman essay we read at the beginning of the course, towards the beginning of the course, clearly he's fudging, you know, in the sense that he does imply there that businesses have obligations to their customers, but according to his own theory, any executive or any employee, vice president, executive of a publicly held corporation, has only one obligation, and that's to the shareholders. And the only obligation it has to the shareholders is to increase the profits of the company. And there's absolutely nothing there that would prevent, under the Friedman way of looking at it, prevent a company from taking advantage of its customers for the sake of its shareholders. That is, if the company can become more profitable by extracting more money from the customers than by the Friedman rule, whether he is willing to admit it or not, then you might even say that the executive has an obligation to do that. So I don't think Friedman gives any basis for the idea that a corporation, a business of any sort, has any sort of obligations to its customers. So that doesn't mean that there's not another basis for it, but something I want to explore this week, whether anybody really thinks that any business really does have an obligation to its customers over and above enlightened self-interest. Of course, enlightened self-interest says treat your customers well because they're your customers, in the sense that they're the source of your profits. So if you alienate your customers, you're risking the profitability of your business. That's a self-interested argument. And so if there's any reason, if you can abuse your customers and get away with it, it doesn't give you any reason to not do that. So that's the general theme I really want to explore this week, is whether a business really does have obligations and duties to its customers. And we'll be looking at the supposed, not supposed, but the actual phenomenon of American companies taking advantage of inflation to raise prices even more on its customers. It does seem to be an indication that either they feel no loyalty to their customers, or they don't consider that being disloyal to their customers, which is maybe a little bit hard to support.